What's going on, YouTube? We're back again today. As you can see down here, I'll shine the light on it. That's the pressure washer that I was talking about that I had to put back together. I got that all put back together, didn't even bother filming anything because, you know, it's a pressure washer. Like, why does no one wants to see that? Anyway, we're working on the Rabbit now, and this light's retarded. Basically, I don't know where the fuel pump relay on this car is. I found like fuse diagrams and stuff for it, but and all the ones that are labeled inside, none of them say fuel pump. There's a fuel pump fuse, but there's no fuse in there. I think one of the previous owners completely janked up the wiring for this car. So basically what I'm going to do is just disconnect the fuel hose going to the carburetor. Let me grab the light so you guys can see. I'm going to disconnect this fuel line here going to the carburetor. It still has some fuel in it, but I'll crank it a few times just to get the fuel out of it. And down here, I just disconnected the distributor and unplugged all the wires, so that'll get rid of all the spark ability. And then we got to pull out the plugs yet, and then we're going to be ready to compression test it. And as long as one of those fittings threads in, we'll be good to compression test. And then from there, we're going to start tearing it apart. So I'll get some clips and whatnot, and that's it. So for any of you guys who watched the mini bike episode 1, which never got continued because the mini bike got sold like the next day, Evan was in that video. He's going to be helping me with this, just like filming, and you know, when I need help doing mechanical things that I need more than one person for, he's going to be helping me with that. I really still have no idea how in depth I'm going to go with this, so it could end up being just the top end, or it could end up being an engine pool and rings and other things in the bottom end. So I'm just going to start by compression testing it, and then we're probably just going to start tearing apart the top end, and I don't know, I might end up pulling the engine, but we'll see. Alright, mint. And now we're going to pull out the spark plug. Start with cylinder 1. See what these things look like. I've never pulled these spark plugs out before, so. Oh, covered in oil. That's what I suspected. And that thing is blacker than black.
It's mint.
I mean, that's about what I expected. I mean, it has a lot of blow by, so if there wasn't oil in the plugs, I'd be kind of confused. Looks exactly the same as the last one.
Got twin plugs.
It's actually got NGKRs in it, which is pretty mint. I mean, it's only a 4-cylinder, so whoever cheaps out on plugs for a 4-cylinder, it's kind of... Maybe if you had a V8 and you wanted to cheap out on plugs because you had to buy 8 of them, but when you only have to buy 4 of them, you shouldn't really cheap out on them. Once again, same thing as the last one. Yeah, I mean, all the spark plugs are looking the same. If you want to shine the light and show the camera, they all look the same. So I mean, at least we have symmetric looking spark plugs. I guess you could say that. It's kind of
We should probably call them blow-by plugs.
Blow-by plugs. Yeah. Alright, so now that we got those out, let's see if our compression tester fits. This is one of my Chevy buddies' compression tester, so I should probably lube these seals, but I just want to see if one of these fittings fits or what. Yeah, that one threads in alright, so. Well, we're hooked up on cylinder 1, now we're going to do a little compression test.
After we unhook the fuel.
Well, yeah. Got to take off that fuel line first, so. We got a little gas jug rigged up down here. We're just going to, because the fuel pump's still working, so when I turn the key, it's probably going to pump fuel into there. So that's just so it doesn't go all over the floor. And then our carburetor's disconnected, so we're not putting any more fuel into the engine, so It should be meant for the compression test. If anything, it might just make the cylinders a little wet, which could raise the compression numbers. I mean, I'm not really expecting this thing to have good compression at all, considering the amount of blow-by. Like, I'm 99% sure the rings are shots.
Alright guys, Evan here, so we're about to do the first cylinder compression test. Boyz
Stop saying,
Boyz in the cab there, and we're about to test out the first cylinder.
Did it stop?
Yeah.
What's it at?
150.
Huh?
150.
150?
We got 150 in the first cylinder.
Did it pin, or was it still going?
It was like, it slowly went up.
Other one. Let's see what the other ones read, but from my understanding, this should be I couldn't even find compression numbers for this engine specifically, but normally an engine like this should be about 160 in each cylinder. So we'll go across and do the rest and see what they all look like.
Yep. Alright, 140. Alright, 150. Yep. Yep, 140.
So as you just saw the compression numbers, basically cylinders 1 and 3 were about 150 psi and 2 and 4 were like 145. So they're all within like 5 to 10 psi of each other, which is a good thing. Also, like I said, I'm guessing these should be somewhere around 160 in each cylinder. So 10 psi low, that's pretty normal, especially considering this engine, the odometer reads 150 some thousand miles and it's frozen. It freezes every like 20 miles. It freezes for like 100 miles. So who knows how many miles are actually on it. I would guess at least 10,000 more miles than what's on it. I don't know when it started freezing either. So, but I noticed that after I bought it, that it did that. The previous owner didn't say anything to me about that. So basically, I was just compression testing this because I was curious at what numbers it was going to read. That wasn't really going to be my determination on whether or not I tore the engine out. But I'm thinking this has a carburetor conversion on it. I don't think, originally it had the factory, these had a CIS fuel system, which was actually really shitty. So I think someone converted to a carburetor. I don't think it was like this from factory, because some of these did come with carburetors, from my understanding. Basically, when you do the carb conversion in the head, you have to plug off the things for the fuel injection, like where it like squirts the fuel in and everything. You have to plug those, and I'm honestly kind of have a feeling that maybe someone incorrectly plugged those or didn't plug them right, and that's why I'm getting so much blow-by. But I honestly don't know enough to even say that that's like a possible cause, because I don't know if that even has to do with it or not. But I'm thinking the best solution now is, because I got to get my parents' car back in the garage soon anyway, I'm probably just going to pull the head off, because I need to do that timing belt, and at that point I can do the head gasket, probably valve seals, and like the intake manifold gasket and stuff, because obviously that has to come off. So that'll allow me to leave the engine in the car, and then we can go from there and see what we want to do, what we want to replace. I was thinking about even maybe putting a cam or something in it while I have it out, but considering I want to put that VR6 in here sometime, not super soon, but within the next year or two, I want to be putting the VR in here, or at least working on it. There's not really a point in throwing money at this engine, because I mean, I could sell it, but these things go for $100 no matter really what the condition they are or anything. So I'll get back to you if we work on anything else then. So I'm starting to disassemble some of the stuff here, just like the fuel lines and stuff. I'm starting to take those off, just get the stuff out of the way that I need to. We're gonna have to drain the coolant and stuff to take the head off, but I'm probably gonna get the valve cover off shortly. I don't know if I want to do it tonight or not, just because it's a Thursday night right now. I'm trying to do a lot of this work. I want to get the head off at least this weekend, which that's not a big deal at all. It's easy to do. It's going to be quick. These engines aren't very complicated, as anyone who has any idea about this stuff would know. I want to get the head off this weekend, but I don't really want to pull the valve cover off yet, just for the fact that then I don't have to worry about covering it and all that. And I have a little parts box here. I'm just going to keep everything in. I got in order here. I got spark plugs right there. I took off the intake elbow and the little filter with it. I took out the battery just because I'd rather have the battery disconnected right now anyway, and it just makes more room. I'm going to get it jacked up on jack stands in the front a while so I have room to get underneath, because I'm also going to oil change it, and if I have to drain the coolant and stuff, it'll be easier to have room underneath. So tonight I'm not going to do too much more, but we'll do a little bit of stuff, and then it's snowing right now, and it's supposed to keep snowing throughout the night, so we should get some drift action in the Subaru Legacy, which is another car that I have not put on this channel yet, but it'll be a little bit of a sneak peek of that if we get some clips tonight. Look at the little freaking unibody. Whole car comes up. Make sure nothing's hit there. Got the car all jacked up, and if anyone knows these cars, Mark 1s, these things rust so easily, and with it being, what is it now, almost 40 years old, because it's an 84, so yeah, this thing's almost 40 years old. I think it's like 37 years old this year. It's definitely not like it was made yesterday, so it's got a little bit of rust. This thing actually has it's all mint so far that I've saw, other than a little bit of surface rust here and there. But from where people have jacked up on the frame rails and put jack stands and stuff, it's a little bit smushed in. Not horrible, so I had to be like super cautious about where I put the jack stands and stuff. This is actually my first time jacking this car up. I was actually scared to put it on the lift when I first got it, because I was just like, man, this car is so old, and I know about like the rust and everything. So this is its first time being off the wheels since I've owned it. But it's pretty mint. She's nice and sturdy.
Oh yeah.
And then we can get to work this weekend. Parking. Oh, look at that, man. Be able to just slide it down here. Oh, did she slip? Oh, more deer, more deer. Oh shit. More deer, more deer. Holy fuck, dude. Look at all the deer. That's freaking awesome.
Holy shit!